Yours truly, Diamond K, in here as always, the DiamondKShow.com, RadioOnFire.com. And we talk to America through digital news broadcast and social media content. We are a rising multimedia platform generating over 350,000 listeners and viewers per month through our audio and video streams. From breaking news, politics, celebrity info, sports talk, pop culture, and so much more, Radio on Fire keeps our audience covered. So, glad to be with you today. Glad that you could join me. A lot of things that I want to talk about. Of course, Trump has been getting pressed on this pandemic, the lies that he's told to the American people about it. We're going to talk about that today. Investigation finds 1 billion plus in PPP fraud. That's the small business loans that people were getting. We're going to talk about that investigation and what people have been locked up already and they're still investigating. We're going to talk about that. Maryland has acquired 250,000 rapid tests for COVID-19. We're going to talk about that. Also, sheriffs offer jobs to a black man that was mistaken for a suspected burglar. And the Baltimore ballot in the election, the question that was printed in error on the ballot. We're going to talk about that. Also, Killer Mike getting backlash for meeting with Georgia Governor Gov Kemp. We're going to talk about that news. And Tekashi 6ix9ine addressing his low album sales. We're going to do that in 10 seconds. All right, we're back. You made Diamond K in here. So here's the thing. Trump lied and Americans died. Donald Trump may not have shot a man on Fifth Avenue like he bragged about, but we do know that his premeditated lies have killed upwards of 190,000 Americans. Donald Trump told Bob Woodward he was fully aware of the danger that America faced from the coronavirus way back in February. He knew that the coronavirus was much deadlier than the flu. He knew that. And he said so. He knew that it was spread throughout the air. And Donald Trump knew that citizens, Americans, were at risk. How many of you watching know someone that passed away from coronavirus? Plenty. There are among 190,000 dead Americans, millions unemployed, scores in hospitals. Back then, he was trying to send kids to school early. You remember? He was trying to get kids in school by Easter. Businesses and jobs, people lost forever. All of that has happened. Not only does Trump still not have a plan to contain this, he's still playing it down, as he said. I wanted to always play it down, he said. I still like playing it down, he said. He just does not care. He doesn't care about his base. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about your family. He doesn't care about your neighbors. He doesn't care about your grandparents, your grandchildren, nothing. All Trump cares about is Trump. You heard the tapes. You can hear the tapes. Know the truth. His entire strategy for the worst public health disaster in modern American history was to lie about it. That was his whole strategy. continued to hold indoor rallies. No social distancing, even though he knew that it was transmitted back in February. He knew that it was airborne. He's had rallies, indoor gatherings. People have died. His friend Herman Cain died. I suspect that his brother died of coronavirus. We have to ensure that every single American learns that Trump knew that the coronavirus was not a Democratic hoax or the flu or something that was just going to magically go away, or when it got warm, it was just going to disappear. He made a premeditated choice, a decision to lie for political gain. And here's the thing, this lie has cost Americans and continues to cost, and it's costing us right now thousands of lives, trillions of dollars, devastated families. He claims that he did not want people to panic. But what is he doing? What does he do? All he does is get people to panic when he talks about the violence in communities, right? When he was talking about the hordes of immigrants that were coming from Mexico, right? The caravans. He was trying to make people panic. So now all of a sudden, he doesn't want people to panic. He's trying to protect people from panicking. More lies. Every American deserves to hear Trump, in his own words, admit to his lies and his continuous lies about the severity and the seriousness of the coronavirus. Our way of life is on the ballot. The future of America is on the ballot. Is it America or is it Trump? So at a press conference today, the president was cornered. He was pressed as I like to say. He was pressed and asked about his lies. And let's take a look at the clip. Wait, yeah?
Why did you lie to the American people, and why should we trust what you have to say
Such
now?
a terrible question, and the phraseology. I didn't lie. What I said is we have to be calm. We can't be panicked. I knew that the tapes were, these were a series of phone calls that we had, mostly phone calls. And Bob Woodward is somebody that I respect just from hearing the name for many, many years. Not knowing too much about his work, not caring about his work.
This is a lie.
It would be interesting.
He knew who he was
for a period of, calls.
So, here's the thing. Hold on a second. So the president says that he didn't know who Bob Woodward was, wasn't aware of him. He's a famous writer, and the president knew that Woodward did a book in 2018, and other people talked about the president in the book, and he didn't like the way he was portrayed. So he said that the next time, if he made another book, he wanted to talk to Bob himself. His people encouraged him not to. However, he still did it and knew that he was being taped and did over 18 interviews with over 9 hours of recordings. So we've heard this. I'm sure that there's even more damaging things to come. Go ahead, continue with the clip.
That. I don't know if it's good or bad. I don't even know if the book is good or bad. But certainly if he thought that was a bad statement, he would have reported it, because he thinks that, you don't want to have anybody that is going to suffer medically because of some fact. And he didn't report it because he didn't think it was bad. Nobody thought it was bad. And your question, the way you phrase that, is such a disgrace. It's a disgrace to ABC television network. It's a disgrace to your employer. And that's the answer. Are you ready?
So let me get this straight. Okay, hold on. So now he's trying to shift blame to the writer that's doing the interview. It's his fault. And, So that's interesting. Timing is everything. And I said yesterday that I had issues with him holding the information. But the reason being, this is not something that's after the fact. We are still in the middle of this, or we might still be in the early stages of this. We don't know how long this is going to last, right? So he's trying to shift blame. And then the fact that the reporter asked him the question about his lies, he thinks that's a disgrace. No, Trump, you are a disgrace. Your actions are a disgrace. The reporter asking the question, that's not a disgrace. Go ahead, continue with the clip.
Because I love. Of course I didn't. Of course I didn't. No.
Than the flu, and then you went out and told the American public that this was just like the flu.
I mean, you told
we've had flu years. You told everybody else something else.
No, and 5 times, right? 5 times. You ever hear the expression 5 times? We've had flu years where we lost 100,000 people. The flu is a very serious problem for this country also, and we've been losing them. Scott, what kind of a number have we lost over the years with flus? Into the hundreds of thousands.
Well, I mean, the last 5 years have been something like 35 to 80,000 per year, every year, even with antiviral drugs and even with
flu is a very serious problem also.
But yeah,
this is worse than the most deadlier than the most strenuous flu.
Okay.
And then you went out and said it's just like the flu.
What I went out and said is very simple. Listen, what I went out and said is very simple.
He wishes he didn't call on him.
Confidence, and I want to show strength as a leader, and I want to show that our country is going to be fine one way or the other.
You mean lie? Tell them the truth. Tell people the truth.
Whether we lose one person, we shouldn't lose any, because this shouldn't have happened. This is China's fault. This is nobody's fault but China. China should not have allowed it to happen. Whether you have one person, 180,000 people, or 2.5 or 3 million people, which it could have been very seriously.
And it still could be.
And when you look at the opposition, where they said, oh, why did he put the ban on? Dr. Fauci said we saved hundreds of thousands of lives by putting the ban on China, and then ultimately putting the ban on.
And telling the American people the truth would have also saved lives.
Europe. There was no lie here. What we're doing is we're leading, and we're leading.
He doesn't even know what a lie is. A lie. The thing that you did to your other wives, that the reason why they left you, lie. You know what a lie is.
In a proper way. And if, frankly, somebody else was leading it, they wouldn't have closed it. If you look at Nancy Pelosi, you look at Cuomo,
here's the spin. You see the spin?
You look at Biden. Months later, they said there's no problem. They're talking about me. Months later. And before any statement was made, you have to remember, I put the ban on China. So obviously, outwardly, I said it's a very serious problem. And it's always a serious problem. That doesn't mean I'm going to jump up and down in the air and start saying people are going to die, people are going to die.
You mean how you talk about people are going to make the suburbs disappear and violence is going to knock on people's door? You do jump up and down.
No, I'm not going to do that. We're going to get through this, and we're right now, I hope, really think we're rounding the final turn. And a lot of good things are happening with vaccines and with therapeutics. But there's no lying. And the way you asked that question is very disgraceful. Phil, go ahead.
So it's amazing how everybody else is disgraceful. His actions are not disgraceful. It's everybody else that's always disgraceful. Of course, you're tuning in. You listen to the Diamond K Show, radioonfire.com, the diamondkshow.com. So let me look at some of these comments. So he cares about money. That's true. He cares about money and his ego. Very true. Very true. Clofy. Okay. Yeah. Very, very true about that. Definitely cares about his money and his ego. The Diamond K Show, at the Diamond K Show on all social media. Definitely comment, and I will get your comments in as best I can. You can always advertise and connect your message with our engaged audience of over 350,000 listeners and viewers per month. RadioOnFire.com/advertise is where you go to get started. You can also follow the Diamond K Show on Spotify and your favorite podcast network. New shows drop daily, 7 p.m. RadioOnFire.com, the DiamondKShow.com. So As we continue here, let me see a couple more questions. Oh, this is an interesting one. I guess this is a statement. Phrasing should always be respectful when addressing the president. So I'm going to assume that you are a Republican, MAGA supporter. I'm going to assume that based on your statements. Was phrasing, as you say, was that always respectful when speaking about, say, Barack Obama? No, it was not. Republicans lost their minds because he wore a tan suit. You remember that? So when you talk about phrasing and respect, this president has taken pride in throwing norms out the window. Norms out the window. And phrasing and respect is one of the things that he's thrown out of the window. So my first job was at McDonald's. And I talk about this often. So my first job was at McDonald's. And what I noticed about you had some clients, some customers that would throw their money on the counter, put their money on the counter, push it to you, whatever, or just throw it on the counter. And so what I would do, a lot of people that worked, my coworkers, would become angry when people did that, and they would refuse to pick up the money until they picked it up, whatever. And I assumed, I never got angry. I always assumed that the way that the person gave me the money was the way that they wanted it back, like the change. And so when I gave them back their change, I threw it on the counter the same way they gave it to me. And the thing about Trump is that he doesn't respect people and he doesn't want respect, right? Because of the way that he acts is the way that we should act in return. You're the mirror. You're the mirror. You're reflecting. And don't give me that it's the low and the high and go, Michelle Obama thing. I don't subscribe to that philosophy. Now, I'm not saying that every little tit for tat thing either, but when we talk about criticizing the president during a pandemic and his handling of this pandemic, this is not a little thing. This is a serious thing. And so, you have some people in here, and this person say, doesn't know anyone who's ever had it. They must be lucky. Yeah, you must be lucky. You don't know anyone who's ever had it. I don't know if you don't know a lot of people or what, but you've had millions of people affected by this. And even if you don't know that any people that were infected with the virus, you've seen the effect of the virus. You've seen the economic effect of the virus. And so that is interesting. Let's go to another comment here. Do you feel Trump is concerned for people who don't vote for him? I don't. And here's the thing about this. I don't think that this is Bruce Harper. Bruce, I don't think that Trump is concerned about people that vote for him. And he's definitely not concerned about people who don't vote for him. So why do I say that he's not concerned about people who vote for him? If he was concerned about his base, if he was concerned about the MAGA crowd, the Americans that vote for him, if he was concerned about them, he would be telling them and encouraging them seriously to wear masks and to socially distance. And when he had his events, he would try to make it as safe for them as possible. But what does he do? He has them sign waivers that they will not sue him if they get sick, or in Herman Cain's case, if they die at his rally from coronavirus, right? And so he doesn't even put a feel out there so other Republicans and MAGA crowd will take this virus serious, right? South Dakota, where Sturgis, the bike rally is, right now per capita, they have the largest infections right now. And it has been Republicans listening to Trump that have shown that he doesn't really care about them. So the people that don't vote for him, they don't listen to him. The people that listen to Trump is the MAGA crowd. right? It's the MAGA crowd that listens to him. So the people that don't vote for him, that don't listen to him, he doesn't care about them, but his actions tend to hurt his own supporters even more. So and so let's okay. So Bruce has a follow-up to say. My follow-up question is, how can someone be president when he doesn't care about half of the country? Okay, so that's an interesting question. When you say how can someone be president if he doesn't care about half of the country, I would say that it is a little bit more. He has about 40% that he quote unquote cares about. If that he cares about their vote, I don't know if he cares about them. Most of the country is not feeling Trump. Okay, most of the country, 60%. Okay, so a little bit more than half. So it is very strange that we have someone in office who outwardly does not care about the country. Here's what he does care about. Okay, he cares about people's votes, the MAGA crowd, but he cares about the stock market, right? That's who he cares about when he has those conferences where he says that I just made you guys a lot of money and that kind of stuff. He cares about those people that are giving him money, the donor class. He cares about those people, right? And those people are the ones that are getting the tests because he has that people tested that are around him, right? So don't get it twisted. And that's how we know that he takes this serious. He just does not care about other people. He takes it serious for himself. He takes it serious for himself. Definitely let me know your questions or your comments, and I will get to those periodically. And of course, booking or media request, DJ Diamond K at gmail.com. So a few other stories that I want to get to. And, uh, you know, I don't even know. I don't even know if we should even mention that. Last year, I guess it was last year. Last year, if you remember the Jussie Smollett debacle, uh, we covered that extensively. And Jussie Smollett is someone who his actions. You want to talk about a disgrace? Jussie Smollett's a disgrace, and he is still trying to maintain he's the victim here, right? It's just amazing. But of course, I want to talk about Governor Larry Hogan. Larry Hogan is the governor in Maryland, and the governor has acquired 250,000 rapid tests that they're going to use for nursing homes and correctional facilities. So he announced this today that Maryland has signed a deal to secure these advanced rapid tests for the coronavirus. And Maryland will be the first to receive these tests, with 9 other states to follow as part of an interstate testing compact. If you remember, a few months back, a bunch of states kind of clustered together to make some moves once again because the president does not look at a national response to this. If the president said behind the scenes that he was downplaying the what he told the American people, right? Which is terrible, horrible, should not do it that way. But behind the scenes, he was helping fortify our PPE and really trying to get a national plan together, but not trying to alarm people. That would be, I still would be upset that he did not level with the American people, but that would be a better look than what it is now. The states themselves have to fend for themselves, and they're fighting over stuff, and all of this. It's really sad that they have to do this, but as the president said, it is what it is. Okay, and so these tests that Maryland and the other states are going to get that are in this cabal of states. The test results can come in 15 to 20 minutes and will be distributed to nursing homes, assisted living centers, juvenile detention facilities, and correctional facilities. The state also plans to send rapid tests to colleges and dormitories. So that is good to know. As I said, this is on radioonfire.com now. And all in all, these tests are not going to replace the current testing that they're using, which is, according to the Governor Hogan, the critical fact in the state's long-term strategy. And as of right now, Maryland has completed more than 2.1 million of the state tests, not the rapid tests, but the state tests that they're using right now. So it's good news. I have agreed with a lot of things that Governor Hogan has done with regards to his handling of the coronavirus, but we definitely disagree on a number of things as it relates to schools. He wants all schools to be open right now, and I just don't think that they are ready yet to have that. As far as where we are with this virus, at least in Maryland, definitely don't think that that they're there yet. So let's go back to a couple of questions. I see Bruce has responded. Diamond K, I feel you have great wisdom. I feel you are right. It is all about the Benjamins. He does not care about our citizens. And I also feel the economy would be in much better shape. I feel Trump's lying is like murder. And Bruce, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. I feel that it's like murder because, one, we have people who, over 190,000 people who are gone. And it is really, really, really sad. And to have someone not only have done these things, but is unapologetic and asking, he's asking to get his contract renewed for another 4 years. He's asking for his contract to be renewed for another 4 years. And his lying, as you said, Bruce, has led to so many deaths. So many deaths. And, here's the thing. It's still going. It's still counting. We have a lot of states that are run by Republican governors who are taking what Trump has said as the gospel. And when you take a place like Sturgis in South Dakota, where even though they are having this high infection rate, they are still unapologetic. And they're like, okay, what? We're not listening to you. It's really sad. And the president, if he had handled this better, he could have gotten a lot of votes. He could have gotten a lot of people on the other side to say, hey, I don't like a lot of his policies, but when the pandemic came, when the real trial came, when the real test came, Trump handled it well. If that was the case, a lot of people would have supported him. But he fumbled on the coronavirus reaction big time. All right, we're going to take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll talk more about the investigation that the Department of Justice is doing for the PPP fund. All right, the Paycheck Protection, the small business money. People was trying to get the small business money, was saying, oh, hey, you got business, I can get you money. It was a lot of fraud going on. And unfortunately, the Department of Justice is investigating that very fraud right now. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to be back in 60 seconds.
Oh, my nigga Diamond K on the check-in. Salute Diamond K, radio on fire.com. Let me just check with this. Hold on a second. That's be more.
You are now streaming worldwide on radioonfire.com and the Radio on Fire app.
Diamond K, are you moving to the ATL? I know you were talking about that, man, before the pandemic.
Giving you more talk, more news, and more music. It's Radio on Fire.
Okay, there you go. RadioOnFire.com. That's the homie Diamond K.
Thank you for listening to Radio on Fire.
I see High Roller Records, Jay Jackson Live, the Diamond K Show, of course. Yeah, folks, make sure you check out my RadioOnFire.com.
Follow us on all social media at Radio on Fire.
Okay, we're back here. You made Diamond K, and we were on the other side. We were talking about the Department of Justice, and as of right now, 57 people in the PPP fraud cases. The Justice Department revealed that. And what am I talking about? What does this mean? So the feds have said that 57 people so far have been charged with stealing $175 million in aid from a program that was meant to help small businesses weather the pandemic, right? And officials say that they have identified 500 individuals who may have defrauded the $660 billion Paycheck Protection Program, which you often hear people call PPP. So in many cases, and this is what I was talking about, criminal rings have worked together to steal money from the programs. So I don't know if you remember in the 90s, for my people that are a little bit older, in the 90s, well, I don't even want to say in the 90s, but this is when I first witnessed it. People were claiming kids that weren't theirs and getting some type of money for these kids and then spending that money, right? And they gave them the money pretty quickly. And then the next year or midway through, they started asking for proof that the kid lived with you. Now, that money been spent and people had this fraud thing going on, and then they could not support this child or prove that this child that they claimed on their taxes lived with them, and thus they were fined, had to return the money, and all of that. So this situation that people are in now, much worse. My point is that the government is going to get theirs. They're going to get their money. So if you're listening to this, you hear the sound of my voice, and you know that you got some of that PPP money and you weren't supposed to get it, I definitely am you're my thoughts and prayers. Officials believe that the fraud in the program was significant, but they have declined to estimate exactly how much total money. That they're kind of counting it a little bit. And so how much money exactly has been stolen, I'm sure that we will find out. So they have charged 57 people thus far. They announced that investigations are not over. Just because you are not one of the 57, you're not out of the water yet. As I said, 500 individuals they have identified thus far. And so they're building cases against more people. And a congressional panel last week said that it had identified tens of thousands of the program's $5.2 million loans that may have been misused or defrauded. And they're not going to take that laying down. Even a Jets wide receiver, right? With the NFL season starting today, the game started about 30 minutes ago. A Jets wide receiver was charged in a fraud case with PPP. Like, what's really good? What is really good? He is one of 11 defendants in this particular scheme. The NFL player is accused of obtaining a PPP loan for $1.2 million for his company, Drip Entertainment LLC. And Josh Bellamy is the player's name. And Bellamy is accused of using the funds to purchase jewelry and spend $62,000 at the Hard Rock Casino. So you get the money, right? So here's the thing, and this may be confusing to people. So you have a small business, you applied for the loan, they gave you the money. Now, the money was supposed to be for you to cover expenses for your business, pay employees, stuff to keep your business going, right? Not to go ball out and so that's why they're saying that the money was potentially misused, or you had fraud situations. And this story is going to continue with the government cracking down on PPP fraud. So that is a serious thing, and that is something that we're definitely going to continue to follow. You may Diamond K in here, radioonfire.com, the Diamond K Show.com. And another interesting story that I've been following for the most part of the day, and this stems from there's a lot. There's a lot here. So we're going to kind of slow roll this. But rapper Killer Mike, he is in the midst of receiving a lot of backlash on social media. He met with the governor of Georgia named Brian Kemp. Okay. And we've talked about Brian Kemp a lot. Brian Kemp is a supporter of the president, someone who I don't necessarily agree with the lackadaisical attitude that he has taken about the pandemic. And at one time, he sued Atlanta mayor and the city council and all of that because he didn't want a mask mandate, or didn't agree with how they were handling that. But he has since dropped the case. So Killer Mike, who is I don't want to say he's controversial, but maybe that might be an actual description of him. He has been getting this criticism that I guess he should not. I guess it's saying he should not have met with Brian Kemp. So I don't disagree. I mean, he can meet with Brian Kemp. And if we can find some solutions, some common grounds, you definitely have to meet with people that you may not necessarily agree with. And just because he met with him doesn't mean that he co-signs everything that he does. You know what I'm saying? And so people are quick to judge. And Twitter was he was trending at one point for people really coming down on him. And the governor posted a picture, several pictures actually, of his meeting with Killer Mike. And yesterday, Brian Kemp said that today, Marty and I had a great meeting with Killer Mike. We discussed how small businesses and the music industry are weathering the pandemic. the value of our skilled trade workers, and our fight to end human trafficking in Georgia. We look forward to seeing him again soon. And he posted some pictures, and one of those pictures is this photo right here. So here's my thing. All right. I said that I don't agree with many of the policies of Brian Kemp. I don't agree with several of the actions taken during the election in which he was running against Stacey Abrams. All right. All of that is well and good. The topics and the points that Kemp said that they were meeting about are important topics. He is the mayor. He is the governor of Georgia. So while I don't agree with how the election was handled, we definitely have to move on from that election and learn from it. But that doesn't mean that Killer Mike should get backlash for meeting with the governor. And so he was getting a lot of that. You can see that in the photos, Mike was wearing a black t-shirt that says plot, plan, strategize, organize, and mobilize. And so if you remember earlier in the spring, that's the same phrase that he gave reporters when they were talking about the protests in Atlanta that really got high and heightened and intense back in the springtime. And when he was responding to the critics of him meeting with the governor, he pointed out the intention behind that t-shirt. And it was interesting. A Twitter user named Rod Jarrett said that his issue, or I would speak as him, he said, my issue is Killer Mike giving legitimacy to a man who stole an election here in Georgia. It's not about Kemp being a Republican. So I guess that what Rod is saying is that he shouldn't meet with him at all. I mean, yeah, he did not. I don't agree with how he handled that election. There was some shady practices going on. There was voter suppression that happened in Georgia, and that is true. But he is the governor, right? And Stacey Abrams, I don't know if she's going to run again or what's going to happen, but Stacey Abrams is not the governor. And so he stole the election. He did fraudulent things, whatever you want to call it. That does not mean that organizers and community activists, such as Killer Mike, should not meet to try to get some things done. And Mike responded and said that some of my issues, blacks in Georgia having more than 2% of state contracts while making up 35% of the state, black men and boys getting free trade school versus building more jails, a justice system that deals with children's trauma versus jailing them. You need better, quote unquote, issues. And so he was listing those things as issues that are important to him. And those are very good things. So a lot of people on the surface look at meetings, and I was very critical of many people that met with Trump early on as well. Because I didn't like the way that they were paraded out. We're talking about people that were meeting with Trump early on, but ultimately, many people have declined meetings with the president. And I definitely feel that, it's all in how you portray things, right? Because you can take a meeting and get something positive from it, or it can just be a publicity stunt for one side or the other side to make it seem like they are extending the olive branch. So it's all in presentation, who you're dealing with, who you're meeting with, and all that good stuff. So Killer Mike, definitely someone who can defend himself and respond to his critics, and he has many. There are many things that I agree with Killer Mike on, and for the most part, I think that we are aligned in a lot of our beliefs. But like my father always says, you're not going to agree with anybody all the time, right? So uh uh that's just how that goes. Let's go back to some of the comments. And Jesus says Killer Mike could have threw on a better outfit. Oh man, that okay, let's look at that again. All right, maybe I mean it was just a t-shirt, right? It was just a t-shirt he had on. Okay. Yeah, all right, I see what you're saying. So I think that he was trying to you know, he's trying to brand his shirt, and yeah, I mean he just got on some, I guess those are khakis, and I mean his Jordans or whatever, that don't I guess that's their matches. Okay, I mean, yeah, okay, I feel you. I feel you on that. Hey, Susie, just saying that his outfit looks a little bit. You're saying that he's stepping into to meet the governor. Governor's all suited up, and he could have. Yeah, I guess you're right. He could have threw on a blazer or something. Um, Definitely. Of course, your man Diamond K in here, radioonfire.com, the Diamond K Show.com. Now, this weekend on Saturday, the We Live in Atlanta podcast with Jay Jackson and Truth Hurts will be on 2 p.m. radioonfire.com. Also, the On Fire Mix Show is going to follow that program, immediately following that program, 3 o'clock. I will be on the ones and twos. On Sunday, the His and Hers Show, 5 p.m., radioonfire.com, and 11 p.m., Luscious Kisses will be on with some adult talk. And that is going to, is always something you need to put the kids away. That is definitely an adult show on Monday. Sports on Fire will be back on the air, 8 p.m. And as always, Monday through Fridays, I am here 7 p.m. For the Diamond K Show. So as we continue, Killer Mike getting his backlash, and we talked about that. So sheriffs have offered a job to a black man who was mistaken. I mean, how many times have we heard this? He was mistaken for a burglar, right? So, I mean, it's just the sheriff departments, so they make a mistake. And if you've ever been involved in any interaction with the police where you had mistaken identity, when I was, I guess, maybe about 21 years old, I was walking down the street. It's at nighttime, and two police cars roll up on me. And I didn't do anything. I'm just walking down the streets. It's nighttime. Like I said, maybe it's about 11 o'clock at night. And I'm walking down the street and going into the house. And the police hop out the car, throw me up against the wall, and are accusing me of robbing someone. Very random. And it just so happened that their radio was on loud enough that I could hear. So they're saying, we got the guy right here. And he says to the dispatcher, give me the description again. So they give the description, and they say that he is 6 feet tall and he's wearing all black. I had on blue. And I am 5'7". So I said to the officer, he said 6 feet tall. I'm not 6 feet tall. And he said, they could have made a mistake. And I said, well, he said that he had on black. I have on blue. So he said, blue could be black. Blue, they could mistake that. So they had me cuffed at this point, and they're getting ready to shove me into the back of the squad car. So it just so happened that another squad car pulls up. This is the third squad car. And in the passenger seat of this squad car was the victim, the alleged victim of the robbery. And so they asked the person, was that the guy who robbed you? And they shake his head like no. And they were like, you sure? And he was like, no, that's not him. And so he took the cuffs on me, took the cuffs off me rather, and said, okay, you can go. And I was like, that's it? Like, you're not going to apologize or nothing, or you know what I mean? And never didn't say anything, got in the car and drove away. I wasn't hurt, I wasn't injured, but that was my first direct interaction with the police. And so and of course a lot of people have a much worse experience than that in their interactions. And so what happened in this situation, the sheriff's department had a mistaken identity and mistook this gentleman for a suspected burglar. And so his name is Joseph Griffin, and he was jogging in a predominantly white neighborhood in Florida. And he was handcuffed and detained by the police because they said that he fit the description of the burglary suspect. And this supposed burglar that they thought was a burglar was actually a 28-year-old military vet. And he revealed that he has been extended a job offer by the sheriff's department to help train with bias training. That is something that the police definitely need, bias training. And according to a report on the incident, the sheriffs were on the lookout for a man suspected of stealing a leaf blower when one deputy came upon Griffin. And so that is interesting. I mean, it wasn't a crime of like extreme proportions, but it's interesting that situation happened, and he is in Florida. A lot of times, a black male is all you need to be to fit the description. So that is something that we need to work on. That is something definitely needs to work on. Bias training. Interesting situation there in Florida. So last thing before we get out of here, and that is Tekashi 6ix9ine. So Tekashi 6ix9ine is, a rapper, obviously. And, I don't know what to make of him because he has been released from jail and he tries to explain his current situation and the way that people view him. And, Tekashi is his own worst enemy, as a lot of people are. The album called Tattletales has been released by 6ix9ine. And because of changes in the way that music is calculated, is charted, he is not enjoying the success that I thought he was going to have. But at the end of the day, I let me say this. When he was still in jail, I said that he was done and he was over with. And if he came home, people would not support his music. And all in all, that is what's happening. But the industry has pretty much locked arms and is keeping him out. Now, this is the digital music providers, fans, other rappers. They don't want to see this kid win. And it would be one thing, and I don't know who's in his ear or who's talking to him, but if Tekashi 6ix9ine had come home and he said, like, this is what happened, this is why I did it, a lot of people don't believe it. A lot of people are never going to embrace him regardless. But if he said that this is what I did, this is why I did it, I'm getting a second chance, and he was more humble, apologized to some people, wasn't starting up beefs like squash things behind the scenes with Dirk and Trippie Redd and Blueface and the Game and Snoop and Meek, and he has squashed all that stuff, right? And said, because I'm getting a second chance, I'm turning over a new leaf and really tried to live his life better. Like calling his album Tattletales. Talking about Tekashi 6ix9ine. Calling his album Tattletale and bringing up other rappers' challenges instead of facing the stuff that he did. Talking about Tekashi, the stuff that he has done. And if he had done that, I think that people would most people wouldn't give him a chance, but some people possibly would look at him a little bit differently. But not only is he feuding with rappers, not only is Tekashi feuding with rappers, but he is also this is crazy. He's also feuding with a lot of the very digital service providers, whether we're talking about, the Spotify's or the whatevers, and YouTube and Billboard, all of the people that he needs, he's feuding with them too, because he feels that he's being picked on, and he feels that they are putting forth different rules for different people. But I have talked extensively about how I feel about bundling and what do we mean by that? So that is almost incentives to get people to buy stuff, right? Their songs, so they're bundling merchandise, so they're bundling a hard copy with downloads, with concert tickets, with clothing, with et cetera, and they're doing that. But my thing is that in this age, they have to do something to try to come up with a way for people to buy their physical product, right? And so they're getting creative with it. And then now people, because everybody's not doing it, some people are complaining about it. And with this complaints, they're coming down and they're saying, okay, we're not going to accept people bundling anymore. And the issue there is that you have some rappers who've gotten plaques, number one accreditations on singles, and they did bundling. And then you have some people where bundling is not allowed. So Tekashi is complaining because he's saying that you allow bundling for this person, and Ariana Grande and Justin Bieber and this one and that one, they were allowed to bundle, but when it comes to me, y'all don't let me bundle, and that's not fair. And that's his complaint. And initially they had him coming in at one number, and then after the bundling was not allowed, he's coming in at another number. And he's upset because, talking about Tekashi, he's upset because Big Sean released an album on the same day as him, and they're putting Big Sean on playlists. They're giving him exposure on the front page of their site, like all these different things. And he's saying he should make it fair. But what he has to understand, and what I want Tekashi to understand, I wish that I could talk to him and he would listen. But what people have to understand is that, yes, it's freedom of speech. You can say what you want, but there's consequences for what you say. And they can't keep his music off the platforms, but they can definitely decide how they highlight and feature his album, music, songs, et cetera, And there has been a lot of purchasing of downloads, of streams, a lot of that, a lot of crazy. When you talk about the music industry is fake, that is true. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and a lot of artists do that. They purchase streams. You ever see an album drop, a video drop, 5 minutes later, it's like 1 million views, and you're like, this came out 15 minutes ago. How do we have 1 million views, right? That's because they're buying these streams with bots. And, it takes a lot of money It takes a lot. So it's like if they spent that money on real promotion instead of fake views, things would be further. So you have Tekashi, he's complaining about, look, my song did this many spins, and Gooba did this many spins, and Gooba has this many views. But the reason why it's not registering with people is because those views are not real. None of the songs that Tekashi has released since he's come home have had real legs in the streets or in the digital community. And you can tell no one's playing those songs. And he's been blackballed, but he's been blackballed because of his own actions. He's been blackballed because of his own actions. And like I said, if he had come home and had a more humble attitude, because he seems like a funny person, right? More humble attitude, less disrespect, especially considering what he's been through. Like, you're getting a second chance. Like, he could have been gone 47 years. Gave people a lot of time in his effort to come home. Maybe like 70 some to other people, right? In order for him to come home, he dropped the dime on various people, whatever. A lot of people don't agree with that, considering the fact that he's retaliating against them. They did something to him, whatever. Just put all that aside, because you either believe it or you don't. But if he gets the second chance, he should not be living his life how he did initially. If you're in the music business, right? He's in the music business. And as my father always says, you got to get people to like you in the music business. The fans got to at least like him, right? He needs some people to collaborate with, right? And you definitely got to have the streaming companies. They got you got to be on one accord with them. You can't be feuding with the streaming companies if you are an artist who is selling music on the stream. You know what I mean? You have to have a way to have a discourse and conversations with the streaming companies behind the scenes that's not loud and disrespectful, and you're exposing them and all that kind of stuff. That is crazy. So he is definitely influenced by Tupac, but Tupac would not have carried it like this. If you remember, I guess it's been almost, or maybe over 25 years ago, Tupac's Me Against the World was the first album to hit the charts, top the charts, debut on the charts while that artist was in prison. And there's no shortage of artists that are proving that time in jail is worth weight on the charts. Tekashi getting out of jail in the springtime is he hasn't stopped talking since he's been home, and I'm happy for him and all of that kind of stuff. But Big Sean's Detroit 2 has definitely, Big Sean is more respected, he's more embraced, and that's just the way it is. So if Tekashi wants things to turn around, if he wants to still continue to do this music thing, I hope that he's going to change his attitude. I hope that he's going to change his attitude. So it's interesting. Initially, they were saying he was going to be somewhere around 150,000 units, but it's looking like it's going to be somewhere around 45,000. And a lot of rappers, have funny things to say. They're joking him. And the thing about it is that he's always pointing fingers at other rappers. Ooh, this rapper did this. This rapper snitched. That rapper snitched. And it's a whataboutism that I talk about that Republicans demonstrate, which is when you say something, people say, Tekashi, why did you do this? Why did you tell? Like, why did you do this? And he'll say, well, this person did that. That person did that. And sometimes he'll talk about, his reasoning. But I think that he would be better served to be more humble, make amends, apologize, restart, and try this thing again. He's 24 years old, and I just wish that he would get this thing right. But as I said, some people are never going to rock with him like that. Some people are never going to give him any opportunity to do anything. Like he's written off, and some people just gonna look at him like that, and that's just what it is. Last thing before we get out of here, we have talked about Cardi B and other rappers speaking about political things. Cardi and Candace Owens had a back and forth that was, I guess, entertaining. it was, I would say it was entertaining. But ultimately, I hated at the same token that these ladies are being used by both parties to go back and forth with each other. But Cardi B said on IG that she's been targeted by Trump supporters due to, I'm supposing, her outspoken stance and support for the Democratic Party. So Cardi said that she has been frequently degraded and made fun of by people who have opposing political views. And she says she often ignores that. And that's just being a public figure. That's just one of those things that's going to happen if you are outspoken about politics, right? So she said, Cardi, that the trolling line has been crossed to the point where she feels that her safety is at risk. And Cardi revealed that a Trump supporter leaked her address, and she has hired a private investigator to track down who did it so she can get, and it appears to be a teenager that did it. Cardi said this: "Let me tell you something. This gets so intense that a Trump supporter posted my address and encouraged people to dox my home, to put my house on fire. I literally hired a private investigator and served them with a warrant and to arrest this boy. He was an effing teenager. His parents were shook," Cardi said. And I mean, I know that Cardi is at a different point in her life, but she's said a lot of reckless things. You remember she was the one that admitted to drugging guys, and I was very critical of her for that stuff. But she's still growing. I understand all that. Political views are political views, and we are all Americans at the end of the day. I have a lot of friends who are Republicans or MAGA supporters, and I enjoy talking to people who feel differently than me. And if you listen to this show, you hear me talk, I'm very critical of President Trump, and I am critical of Republican ideology. However, I don't want any harm to come to people that have different views than me. And in order to really understand things and people, you have to talk to those that have different views than you. So whether it is a Democrat, whether it's an independent, a Republican, a libertarian, a Green Party candidate, a socialist, I like talking to everyone, and I want the best for everyone. But at the end of the day, I don't want to see harm come to people who just disagree with me. And I encourage you to not take things. Don't let this highly politicized time affect you in that way. I definitely want people to understand that we can have differing opinions, but still have respect. And you may hear me on here yell and flail my arms and scream, but at the end of the day, I want the best for everyone. Definitely. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Of course, I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's guest is going to be independent candidate for mayor of Baltimore, Bob Wallace. So we've been looking forward to this interview. He is the first independent candidate on a write-in tip to get on the ballot for mayor of Baltimore. And we're going to talk with him and find out why he feels that you should vote for him if you are in Baltimore City. And that's going to be tomorrow, 7 p.m., radioandfire.com, thediamondkshow.com. Of course, you can follow the program on Spotify, however you are listening or hearing this show, watching the program. New episodes drop daily, radioandfire.com, thediamondkshow.com. You can always support the program via Cash App, and that is $sign DJ Diamond K. And of course, your donations help us continue to do what we do here on the program, and that's to bring you independent news, progressive opinion on politics, social issues, entertainment, and much more. For booking or media requests, djdiamondk@gmail.com. And until tomorrow, if you see it, then you can be it. It is all about having vision. I have enjoyed this time, and I will see you guys tomorrow.